Is Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge worth it? The good, the bad, and the ugly, coming up now on StoneToaster Gaming. I got this game just before Thanksgiving and had played the full story before the end of the weekend. I played a lot. The first good is this: Star Wars, that galaxy far, far away. You start in space on a cargo ship above the planet of Batuu, which is the planet you find yourself on in Disney's theme park attraction, the Galaxy's Edge. Galaxy's Edge is the part of the park that features the ride Smuggler's Run, where you work with a team in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon to run a pirate job stealing from the Empire, and Rise of the Resistance, which is like 3 rides in one, taking place somewhere in the early days of the new trilogy. The Disney park is an amazing immersive experience which takes you into the Black Spire outpost on Batuu, which has a full-size Millennium Falcon, a lot of great shops and restaurants, ships and droids and characters from the Star Wars universe playing out a story all around the park. It feels like you are living in the Star Wars universe. Every detail is amazing. When this game was announced, a lot of us assumed that we would be wandering those same streets in VR. But while the game takes place primarily on that planet, it takes place outside of the Black Spire outpost in the wilds. You never get to walk those streets, you only get to see them out the window of the cantina. So right away that was a little disappointing, but the game does feature 2 great locations in the Black Spire outpost: Sleazak's Cantina and Mumbo's Workshop. Both are amazing environments which give you the feeling of being inside the world of Star Wars. Right off the bat, I give this game full credit for its graphics and design. The ships, the characters, and the weapons are all beautifully designed, and there's a lot of great interaction to be had at all of the locations. It looks and feels like Star Wars, and it looks lived in, like every part of those locations has a history. Most of the gameplay is out in the Batuu wilds. The wilds come in a couple of different flavors. There's the grassy hillsides, the dry rocky cliffs and caves, and wide open swamps. Each one is littered with the cargo that you were forced to jettison when your ship was overrun with pirates. Your primary objective is to collect the lost cargo while trying not to get killed by the pirates which followed you down to the planet. Eventually you discover that the cargo contained a couple of high-profile targets that the First Order hired the pirates to get from you, and they will stop at nothing to get it back. So you steal guns from fallen pirates and fight your way across the Batuu wilds, looking to keep the First Order from getting their hands on valuable Resistance merchandise. Your character is a droid repair mechanic, so you're handy with your multi-tool, which is used to break into the many cargo crates you find scattered across the wilds. Inside you find weapons, money, back to spray, which is used to heal you when you get injured, and a few other useful things. Opening the crates is not difficult, but it requires a little thinking, what I would consider very easy puzzles. Frankly, they could have made some of those a little more challenging, but then maybe they were expecting a younger demographic. Using the multi-tool to open the crates was still a fun experience for me and very well done in the game. The guns you gather don't last forever, and once you've used a bomb, it's gone, and frankly, I like that. A game where you have unlimited guns and bombs isn't much of a challenge. On the other hand, there are guns kind of all over the place, because whenever you kill a pirate, he drops a gun, and many of the crates have guns in them, and sometimes there are guns just laying around. So there is a challenge on one hand, which is kind of taken away on the other. Frankly, I would prefer it if you had to steal their ammo and use the same 1 or 2 guns, but that's a small complaint. Among your tools are those training droids Luke Skywalker fought with in the first Star Wars movie under the tutelage of Obi-Wan Kenobi. They come in 3 different styles, one of which is essentially a flying bomb. You can also get your hands on some thermal detonators, which is oddly satisfying. The story is fairly straightforward. Learn how to play the game on the ship, survive the pirate attack and dump the cargo onto Batuu, and jump ship. You wake up on Batuu, get sent out after the cargo, fight pirates, find cargo, fight more pirates, and repeat until the story ends. Because of how simple the gameplay is and how similar the environments and maps are in the Batuu wilds, the game feels much shorter than it is. First, because you don't see the Star Wars logo until you leave the ship. The ship is treated like, and rather feels like, a game tutorial which you forget that you've played. So while it can take you 20 minutes or more to get through it all, your brain doesn't really think you started playing until you get onto Batuu. This becomes the first reason why the game feels shorter than it is. That whole section on the ship kind of feels like it just didn't happen. Another reason that it feels like less game than it is because of how similar the environments and the pirates are. The environments are different, and each has unique style and has to be treated differently to fight past the pirates and find the missing cargo. But because they are all exterior, late afternoon, warm sunlight, lots of rocks and cargo containers, and especially because every part of the game has the same 4 basic kind of pirates, 2 of which are almost identical, it's very easy to feel like you haven't gone anywhere. There should have been a shift in lighting. such as making you play one level in the dark at night and then making it to another location in the morning so that you feel like time has passed. Because the whole game has the same lighting, it feels like everything happens somewhere between 5:30 and 6 o'clock on an evening in September. The lighting is beautiful and very well made, but because of how it feels like late afternoon, your brain remembers all of it as having happened just before sunset, which telescopes the gameplay into a smaller space than it ought to feel like. While you get to stop into the cantina and the workshop a handful of times, all of the gameplay is those Batu wild exteriors. Except for a few shipping containers, you're never in an interior location. Again, this makes you feel like you've been in the same place the whole time, and you lose track of how long it took because your brain just remembers walking along some rocky cliffs and passages. It all feels the same, even though it's not. There should have been some architecture, an enemy base, a local village, or a large spaceship on the planet to sneak through and break up the map and make you feel like you've been to different places. Also, the bad guys are the same collection of pirates. You shoot the red helmet guy over and over, and he always has the same voice. They should have added some First Order troops or some different pirates as you went along. When every location has the same pirates, it makes the locations all feel the same. Oddly, the same thing does not happen on account of stormtroopers. You expect stormtroopers to be all the same, so seeing the same uniform over and over doesn't feel redundant. They feel like an army, and not a rerun. Finally, there is only one boss level, and it's the very last level. Because it's the first boss level, you immediately feel like there are others to follow. But then the credits roll, and it's a sudden letdown because the game kind of says, "You reached your first boss level," and then it immediately says, "Game over." Had there been another couple of bosses to defeat, the final boss level wouldn't have felt like a letdown. This seems like a freshman video game making mistake on the part of the developers, as if they were not thinking in the language of video games. Even the less game, more story experience Vader Immortal had different boss levels in each game and felt like there were different parts of the story and different locations. This may be one of the major reasons why a lot of people have complained that the game was so short, because when the game tells you you've reached the first boss, it is telling you that there is a lot more game to come, even if it doesn't intend to. So ending after the only boss level gives and takes away the rest of the game in one move. It tells the player, "This game is so much bigger," and then suddenly says, "Just kidding, it's over." Haha, in your face. Finally, while some people were miffed not to have a lightsaber in their hands the whole time, I enjoyed being a non-Skywalker in a Star Wars story. I liked being a normal person in the Star Wars universe. That didn't bother me. What bothered me was the part of the game where I did get a lightsaber in our hands. This is where the Tales from the Galaxy's Edge gets its name. The barkeep at the cantina, Slezak, tells you the tale of a Jedi Padawan, and you live the story as the Padawan. This sounds great, but the story is my least favorite part of this game. One of my pet peeves is a movie where you get to the end and they say, "Surprise, it was all a dream!" Or "Maybe it was a dream," or "Part of it was, but which part?" I hate that. This story was like that. I've played it several times, and I still don't know what, if any part of it was, quote, real. I'm also not sure if your character murdered her own teacher when possessed by the darkness of the dark side. It kind of seems like your character was overtaken by the evil in a Sith artifact and killed, well, maybe everyone at this temple. But then Yoda seems not to be all that bothered by it and pays her a compliment for how well she endured, so either your character imagined it, like a bad Force vision, or Yoda has very low standards for who is ready to take the trials. I would think being overcome by the dark side and killing other Jedi would be a disqualifier. But maybe that's just me. And if I can add just one more lightsaber gripe, Vader Immortal has the dopest lightsaber dojo, especially in Part 3. But this has nothing. No shooting gallery, no lightsaber dojo. What gives? Jedi vs. Space Pirates would have been dope. Finally, there should have been the ability to have multiple game profiles, but as far as I can tell, there's only one game going on at a time, and if you start a new game, it just deletes the old one. Hey, ILM Studios, sharing is caring. So, I have complaints. I have more complaints than I've told you about. Other people have complaints, and those complaints are valid. But, does that mean that this game isn't worth the money? I don't think so. I think it is worth it. While $30 for a game is steep for me, I don't regret buying this one, and if I had to go back in time and give myself some advice, I'd tell me to buy it. But I would warn myself about that boss battle being the only one. I love the environments in this game. The cantina and the workshop and even the cargo ship you start on are amazing environments to be in, which feel like the real Star Wars universe in every square inch. It's really amazing design. The Batuu Wilds are beautiful and big, and also feel just a little alien, so you don't ever feel like you're wandering around like Wisconsin or Texas, but you feel like you're on another world, and a very big world. The game mechanics, the guns and bombs, the multi-tool, the wrist communicator are all beautifully designed and as realistic as anything I've seen in the Oculus Quest. I enjoy using the tools and weapons very much. I think the settings are really well designed, with the ability to change your settings at any time, which I like. Compared to Vader Immortal, this is more game and less just story. You can die in this game, so it matters what you do, whereas in Vader Immortal, the game didn't really care what you did. You could literally not lose. Star Wars Tales from the Galaxy's Edge lets you get shot, and if it happens enough, you die and you have to start the section over again. I prefer there being stakes to your choices. I like the ability to lose. And while the environments and the pirates are a bit redundant, I enjoy the gameplay. I like sneaking around and shooting pirates and blasting away with a gun in each hand. It's got some fun action, and it can be challenging, but the right amount of challenging, especially since you can change the difficulty settings at any time. If you want to be a Jedi, this is not the game for you. If you want to see what it feels like to just be a normal background person in the bigger Star Wars universe during the rise of the First Order and the Resistance, then this game has a lot to enjoy. If $30 is a lot for you, then maybe try one of those Vader Immortal games, or just wait for a sale. But if you can swing it, I think this game is worth it. It has room for improvement, but it has a lot to love, especially if you're a big Star Wars nerd like I am. Because I love being in the Star Wars universe, this game has the same enjoyment and thrill that I felt just walking around the streets of the Black Spire Outpost at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Because of that, for me, this game is totally worth the money, even with its many flaws. But you tell me what you think. Let me know in the comments below if you think this game is worth the money, and why or why not. And until next time, game on, my friends, and I will see you in the future.